Hi, I'm Eddie Burke. I've been the bartender at the Hollywood Improv for 40 years, and this is my podcast, Eddie's Bar at the Improv. Hey guys, it's Eddie Burke, and here we are again at Eddie's Bar at the Improv. Before I introduce you to my wonderful guest, Dom Irrera, I would like to take... Hey, Dom.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
Good, how you doing?
Good, just hanging at the bar in the daytime like any normal drunk and
That's it,
degenerate.
And I'm not going to talk about the few drinks that you've had now. But anyway, I wanted to thank a few people. Number one, Mike Carano, who I could not do this without. Lindsay Rose, who also is very valuable to me. And the people at the Improv, who've been very supportive. Caesar, Ali Reza, Sean, and our former manager, GM John, and everybody else.
How about Rita?
Who's that? Rita and Paige and everybody upstairs.
Paige is hot, huh?
Anyway, Dom Irrera,
Eddie
one of
Burke.
my favorite comics of all time.
Oy,
Yeah, I know it's a lot to live up to.
it is.
You've been doing this for 35, 45
What's
years?
today? 9/11?
Yeah.
Since 1979.
Wow. The year I was born. I love that.
I passed the Improv wasn't first. Comic strip was first.
In New York?
And then Uncle Dirty, remember him?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
He was the one that got me passed with Silver. All these guys were already out here, like Bud and all.
Right.
That crew was already here. I hadn't been here yet.
So you started back there in New York. When you came out here, what, in 80, 79?
79.
79 also? Let's go back a little bit before that. What made you start doing stand-up?
God gives certain people tremendous gifts.
I'd like to know who that is, but go ahead.
God, I was an actor in college, and I only took acting because you didn't have to do term papers. It wasn't I had any big
Right,
love for
yeah.
acting.
I did the same thing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
CW Post College on Long Island in New York.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, a small little school, but Brent Ernst went there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but not at the same time. He was a little bit.
He's a Republican too, right?
God knows what Brett is,
Very
but he'll
strong
let you know.
opinions. Yeah.
So you started. What got you started?
Actually, it was a money thing because I did acting and then I got an improv group and I was making some commercials, but the improv group didn't pay enough. Remember Lisa?
Sure.
Lisa was my wife, and she was the one who did the Ugly Baby on Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to leave the group temporarily just to make money so we could, live. And it just started going from there. It's funny because we had to get a replacement for me, and I brought Bruce Willis in. And,
No kidding.
And he didn't get it. Which was hilarious, right? I mean, come on, look at this fucking guy.
And this was New York or here?
That was New York.
New York, okay.
And Bruce started coming around the Improv, and I was doing this character that he loved. Fritzy Anderson was his name, and he was one of these guys. Is this thing on? Hello? What do you call a dog with no legs? Nothing, no matter what you call me, a cupboard. That kind of character, Bruce loved that, and it's funny. A lot of famous people like that character because he was like the raw. Ooh, ah, ooh.
Some of the things you do, I mean, you have a routine, and I can't remember the whole thing, that has stuck with me forever.
And it was to Cape Squad, that one?
No, the one that, I don't know, do you?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's it? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
There was a guy named Lino Romano, who I was working as a doorman at Smith & Walensky's, 49th and 3rd, and Lino, he had us captive because he was, he gave us a speech every dinner, and he had us like, you didn't know whether to cry or laugh or whatever. The boys in Italy in the war, they suffered, they died of syphilis, and then we're all like this, but they laughed and they danced. It was like up and down, and so I would try to make a character like him, but with ridiculous things like, I have to poop. Not I have to pinch a loaf or to Cape Squad, to roll some logs, to that.
That was, I don't get in to see too many people anymore.
Yeah.
But when I
don't
saw
think
that,
I've ever seen you in the room.
No, you probably haven't. I try to stay away. I think I've I've been spoiled because I grew up comedy-wise with what I would call the golden age here, which was, people like you and Seinfeld and George Wallace and Larry David and stuff. So everybody else has a lot to live up to, and it gets a little bit difficult.
Yeah, we have some good guys now, though. I mean,
you do? Oh, there are. There are plenty of good guys. It's
Bill Burr, Rogan.
Yep, definitely.
Chris Rock. There's some really...
Oh, yeah, there's still plenty of good guys. It's just that, like I said, I've been kind of like spoiled in my own way. So where was the comic strip the first place you stepped on stage to do stand-up?
No. By the way, they put in some papers, they put that thing I said about Kevin Nealon that I didn't know he did stand-up too.
Oh.
What'd you ask me?
I said, what was the first place you did stand-up at? Was it the comic strip?
First place was in first grade. The nun said to me, you think you're funny? Why don't you come up to the 8th graders? And I had cousins that were there, and they were twins. And she thought she was going to intimidate me. I swear to God, Ed, not that I worked clean, and I had a very strong set. And she was so pissed off. Because the desks were up to here on me. I was so short. And, she thought she was going to give me a lesson, and they were cheering.
Where was this?
I was at St. Nicholas of Tollentine. You know Tollentine. In South Philly.
That's right. Yeah, that's your hometown, South Philly. Do you draw a lot of your material from your growing up there?
I did at first, then I kind of moved on, because I got tired of doing it. That's one of the most well-known bits in my illustrious career. It's the Joey Bag of Donuts, Jimmy the Woman.
Yeah, Joey Bag of Donuts. Yes, I love that.
I feel like I'm dead talking about myself like this.
No, you're still around. You got a long way to go, Mr. Irrera. The first time you stepped foot into this club here, and the first time you got on stage here, how was that? Did you have to go through a process, or because you came from New York?
Because I was one of those lucky ones. I was one of the only guys that could also work the Comedy Store and the Improv. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you a quick side story with Bud.
Sure.
Bud and Mark, you know how, they could be volatile, especially Mark, and I love those guys, but I get the Tonight Show because of the waitresses. Remember how hot our waitresses were?
Sure.
Well, they liked my act, and I would go on late at night, and unbeknownst to me, they brought Macaulay, the guy who booked the Tonight Show, in here to see me, and I had no nerves because I was doing a late night spot. I was totally relaxed, and I get off stage, and the girl, Macaulay says he's with a couple of girls, he goes, would you like to do the Tonight Show? I booked the Tonight Show. I says, I know. I said, of course I'd like to do it. He goes, well, you got it. I go, I got it? That's it? And he goes, well, yeah. I said, well, what material? Don't you want to see material? He goes, whatever you did up there, that's good. Can you imagine? Yeah. Because I didn't get the Merv Griffin show. When I didn't get Merv Griffin, I thought, you know what, fuck it. I'll just stick to improv and stick to acting. I never thought I'd do the Tonight Show, and now.
Well, the Tonight Show, you did Letterman, you did Conan, you've done all of those things over the years, and deservedly so.
I never thought this little Guido act would get me anywhere.
Yeah, it also got you to do the most Just for Laughs festival, more than any other comic at Montreal.
Yeah.
So it's you've got quite a resume also.
Well, Sophie was from there. Remember Sophie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was she hot or what?
Oh.
Tell these people how hot she was.
You don't know how hot she was.
Oh.
Just kind of sizzle. That's how hot she was.
Every day for like a year, we had sex. Every day, somewhere.
Somewhere, huh? Did you have it here?
No, but it came close.
Yeah. It's because there's been a number of little intimacies that have occurred here over the years, but that's another story.
I didn't finish that story about coming here. So I get the Improv. I get the Tonight Show at the Improv, and now I got to figure out an intro because like I said, I'm one of the only guys that work both clubs at once. I wasn't here for the strike or any of that stuff. So my intro was he started at the Improvisation in New York. You can see him here at the Comedy Store, the main room, Saturday night, right? So now everybody's happy. except Mark and Bud. So they bring me upstairs, and I can get in the talk. We were really hurt that you did this, and I said, well, I love you guys, but I said to Bud, Bud, I make $1,500 a week, and I'm in town because of that main room. And I said, and I called his bluff. I said, if you were willing to give me that money, I'll never work there again. He put his arm around me and goes, Dom, we always forgive.
Yeah, because that's a lot of money for Mr. Friedman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no,
those days, yeah.
And the amount of money that the comics made was minimal. And the store did pay a lot more. I think you guys shared the door or something like that.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah. So it's a whole different operation altogether. What
a great club this is and was. And we,
Oh,
Monday nights, the dance thing and all that.
Sunday and Monday, lines around the block. You couldn't get in.
Yeah.
The history of really us and the store, is phenomenal. The amount of guys like yourself that have been there and made the Comedy Store popular, the Improv popular. The list is endless because you have the same people, but the store, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't want people to some of their people to play the Improv, and
no, it went
just
both ways.
The store did it,
yeah,
because that part I didn't run into. Where,
but, 20 million people within driving, one day drive. It's
sure.
like, come on. There's plenty of room for another club. The Laugh Factory is at Sunset and Laurel. Now, if you can't draw people in when you're advertising on that corner, you never get anybody.
Did you do a few episodes of An Evening at the Improv? Were you on that?
I did it. I didn't get it in New York, and then when they wanted me, I didn't want to do it. Then I finally did a New Year's Eve show. And I think I did maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Did you do it here or in Santa Monica?
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, yeah, because
I forgot about that place.
Yeah, most people have. I don't think many people know that it ever existed. But we shot, I guess, 5 or 6 seasons here, and then when when they opened up the club in Santa Monica, they moved it down there because the seating capacity was so much higher.
Yeah.
I think it was double our seating, so they could fit more people in there to watch.
The first night I was here, I had to follow Leno and Robin Williams, right?
Yeah, and so?
Well, I went up. I just acknowledged. I said Leno and Robin Williams to the crowd, and I said, what am I going to do to follow them? Fly around the room?
That's a duo. Actually, that's a trio. The 3 of you guys, Leno, Williams, and Irrera. But those, back then, those were the shows. You had Robin, you had Jay, George Wallace, Jerry. So, this was our regular lineup. Yeah. This wasn't just like they happen to be in town and they're here.
Oh, yeah.
This was back in the early, mid-'80s when really people all they had to do was come here, and they knew the show was going to be spectacular. They didn't have to check a lineup or anything.
And it's a cool neighborhood because it's not part of the Sunset Strip. It's like, I always liked the crowds here because it was like something hipper Hollywood, something different. Because the Comedy Store had the hotels, Laugh Factory had the college, and whatever they could get in. They were the weak guy, and this place was loaded with talent.
Yeah,
and talent, by the way, with women.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Let's we'll talk about the women later. Who were your idols growing up? Comedy idols.
Woody Allen. But people never believe that because they look at me and they look at him and they think, that's who you like? But his writing was phenomenal to me. And the jokes that he wrote, remember Love or Death?
Sure.
Like Diane Keaton, Napoleon says to Diane Keaton, how do you find me as a man? She goes, I think it's your best bet. It's like those kind of jokes. I love that.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that they're deadpan just helps it work, which is I guess a lot like you do, the kind of like, I don't want to say deadpan, but not too much animation other than when you're doing your characters. You've done a lot of voices too.
Yeah, that's really fun.
What have you done like cartoon series, animation.
Yeah, well, one of the series that I had, it's unbelievable. The generation, what's the ones at 30 now? That generation. Millennial. First of all, they're the dumbest generation I've ever done stand up for. They just, because everything is in their phone.
Right.
But they're fun, and they love the Hey Arnold. It's unbelievable. I was in Connecticut a few weeks ago, and I'm doing stand-up, and between shows I go outside, and this kid, black kid, he looked like Superfly, one of those, he had like a medal, and like he looked like an anachronism from another.
Shaft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Can I ask you something?" I'm thinking, oh, geez. My own ignorance and prejudice, what's he going to ask me, for money? But he says, that Hey Arnold thing, was that true? I said, yeah. He goes, man, that used to touch my heart. What a beautiful show. I go, yeah.
Oh, how nice. Something when you don't expect something, that makes it even better.
Well, you forget how young some of these kids are.
Yeah.
It's like they weren't around for any of the Seinfeld thing.
Right.
Some of them don't even know it. Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, there's so many of them that I talk to them every night. So many of them don't even know who Bud Friedman is.
Yeah.
I mean, or Mark Lano, their history of comedy or the comedy business is kind of limited, which is a shame. There are, and I don't want to say that across the board, because there are a number of comics that I know, newer comics that know quite a bit about the history, of comedy. One that comes to mind is Darryl Wright. I don't know if you know Darryl.
No.
He mainly plays in Vegas now, but
He's a stand-up?
yeah, yep, and he hasn't been here in a while, like I said, because he's over there. But the history is kind of lost on a lot of the comics now.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, let's get up there and do this, or let's put it on YouTube, or what have you, and we're a star. And unfortunately, that happens. So whether they're funny or not.
Yeah.
Another thing that you did that most people don't know is the sports show. You were very involved in a Comedy Central show
called Offsides.
Yeah. How did that come about?
They saw me in Montreal, and they wanted to have a comedy show with football. Football was getting hot. NFL was getting bigger and bigger, and they knew that I knew, from my act, they knew I knew something about sports. And because Jeff Ross came on for a little bit, and he didn't know anything. So he went from the angle of knowing nothing, and I went the angle of actually, that was my life, It's like, I love watching, and that's a thing I'm addicted to now without the drinking as much. I watch football. I love it out here. It comes on at 10.
Right, I know you can watch it all day.
Yeah.
So basically, what was the show all about? It was just sort of talking sports with...
talking about their backgrounds, and some of the guys, the PR guys always gave me like the funny ones. Remember who was the guy that's Romanowski? Romanowski, remember?
Oh yeah, yes.
He spit in some guy's face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Denver, in Haley, Colorado, and the place is packed. I said, I want to talk to Romanowski. I go, no, you don't want to talk to him. I said, I really want to talk to him. They go, no, you can't. We go in the cafeteria, and there's a table for 10, and he's sitting there alone. That's how much he was crazy, right? And he's straightened out since, but it was like
That's got to be a fun interview. I mean, when you're talking to somebody like that, that's like got a little bit of a screw loose somewhere,
he was high as a kite.
Yeah, and they're going to say things, and you're going to go, huh? Yeah. Who was the craziest person you interviewed on that show?
I don't know the guy's name, but he grabbed me and wouldn't let go of the headlock. And I was like, what do I do? He's like a 300-pound mook, and what am I going to do? Hey, you better stop. I'm telling.
I'm going to tell my mommy, stop it.
But they gave us great guys. We had Jerome Bettis and Don Elway. I said Elway. We always had the greatest access because we had NFL films. So I would get like on the side of the stadium that nobody except Comedy Central was there because they owned it. So like Chris Berman couldn't get that seat. So that was fun.
How long did the show run?
I think we ran 2 years. They took it off. The president of Comedy Central took it off, and I was so pissed. I called him up I said, why would you take that off? You know, he goes, well, I said, it's got good ratings. It's not where we're going to. I said, you made a big fucking mistake, pal. And they came back in a year. We did 2 more years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So he kind of learned his lesson.
Well,
sort of.
Kids, I mean, we even did that Christmas thing. Remember they used to give you the video?
Yeah.
The Christmas video? And
right.
That was great publicity, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I've experienced like that kind of thing when MTV or Comedy Central will even change presidents or people that are running it. They will just remove shows because they can, not because they're doing poorly. It's like, look, I'm in charge. I can do whatever I want. And I'm taking your show off, whether it's good or not. Yeah. And, you know, people go like, well, why do you do that? And then the next year, they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt. Dom, can you mind the microphone? Just make sure it's a little bit. It doesn't have to be right in your mouth, but just down here, it's getting kind of muffling.
Okay.
What kind of like, I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but what made you start stand-up? In other words, did you just kind of like, are you one of these guys that like...
Because I killed...
You just got to get it out. I need an outlet.
No, you know what? Sophie, we were talking about before, she was good at everything, but she wasn't really, really good or great at anything. But she was way more talented than me in so many ways, right? But I was lucky because...
I don't want to get into your sex life.
But I was like, the only thing I was good at was that. So it was easy. I didn't have any choices. You're like, well, there was no choice. It was like, if I didn't make it doing that, I wasn't going to make it. Mm-hmm. You know, I wasn't going to...
Well, and you have, and you are. And
it's amazing to have done it this long and made a living at it, because it's fucking hard out there.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sure I get it from so many comics, you know, whether they're talented or not. Unfortunately, talent doesn't always win out. There's so many other variables involved that...
But if you're talented enough, you'll at least make a living. To me, that's a professional comedian, a professional actor. You gotta make some money. Mm-hmm. I was working at Tuesdays in Manhattan. I was a waiter, and this guy said, he was a really nasty gay guy. He had that snippy, you know. And I tried to be nice to him and befriend him, and I said something. I heard you're an actor. He goes, yes. I said, oh, yeah, what plays have you been in? He goes, I haven't done any plays. I studied with Uta Hagen. And I'm thinking, that's like saying, well, I'm a pilot. Where'd you fly? Oh, I never flew a plane, but I was taught how to do it.
Simulator, yeah. Yeah, that's you know, that you mentioned Tuesdays. Wow, that was like
that was right across the street from CBGB's.
Yeah, Tuesday. There was a whole bunch of them. The Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Yeah. I don't know about Thursdays.
Well, Smith and Walensky was one. They were the first like ones that had they were like a 5-star restaurant, but it was a chain. Mm-hmm. They had never done that before. You know how Morton's is and all. Are we doing commercials for these fucking steak places?
Yeah, hey.
Cut that.
Morton's,
Cut that.
Morton's, you could be one of our advertisers. You've done a lot of acting, too. I mean, most recently, I think you were recurring in I'm Dying Up Here.
Yeah, did you see me die?
I did. I saw them all die. You know, the show's over.
You know the woman who was... she had an Academy Award, Melissa something?
Yes.
She was actually upset when I was dying. Like I said, Melissa, it's not real. There were people crying.
Melissa Leo.
Melissa Leo, yeah.
No, that was, she was kind of like Mitzi Shore or what have you. I watched several of those episodes because I knew everybody on there and
sure.
You know, was hoping it would go for all you guys because everybody had work. You know, between you and Andrew Santino and
they took a wrong path. Yeah, Andrew was really good on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think a lot of comedians. I remember watching them as a kid. They were really good actors, like Jackie Gleason and Milton Berle. Mm-hmm. They were really good actors, you know.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have, you know, you're up in front of an audience. You are being a character, whether you know it or not. Even if you're not doing other characters, even in yourself. Yeah. You're in front of an audience and you're performing, and I think kind of like singers are almost the same way.
Yeah.
You're belting out a song, and so you're acting out the song, and yeah,
See, I like the acting thing. I like working with people. I'd rather play basketball than tennis. But the thing about stand-up is the money is much better because it's just you.
yeah.
You know how much they make and how much you should make, and that's it. And if you can't draw, you can't play.
Right. That's that's the name of the game. And it seems like, when you talk about that, back in the day when, let's say, there was Roseanne, there was Brett Butler, Tim Allen, all those guys used to perform here in hopes of getting a TV series.
Sure.
And those particular people did. Now it seems to me that it's kind of reversed. A lot of the comedians are doing TV series so they get recognizability so that they can go on tour and play sold-out theaters.
Jeremy Piven's did that recently.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
And he's good. I mean, he's such a good actor. He acts like a comedian. He's not he's not really there yet, but he's so fucking talented. It doesn't matter. He knows it.
I think that's a great way to put it too. Is that he acts like a comedian,
Yeah.
and I don't mean this for him. I mean that in general. For if you're an actor, you can go ahead and act as a comedian. I have this warped theory that somebody should take some of these older comedians
And kill him.
Well, they're dead. They're dead. They're already dead. Take their routines and do them.
Yeah.
But do that. You don't have to say like, I'm stealing his material. I'm doing his material.
It's a tribute.
Yes, exactly. Because if you find somebody that'll do George Carlin, find somebody that'll do Pryor.
Now, who was
And-
your favorite when they walked in? You snuck in the room to see them.
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that, but I have gone in there to watch Andy Kaufman, and Andy and George Wallace back in the day. I mean, those were a couple of the first that I saw, and who left an impression. I mean, George does this stupid thing, or it's that he.
La Cienega.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Well, for those of the people who don't know that, it's La Cienega is the name of the street here, and he would do
Another one, and this will surprise you, is Carol Siskind. I used to love the character that she had on stage, which was kind of like that I saw was, I don't know if she was drunk or
I don't think so.
a little handicapped or something.
She had that thing with the neck. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So she was another one, but I'm gonna have to think about that. I did go in when Johnny Carson was sitting in the audience.
Oh, yeah?
And when they were shooting Evening at the Improv.
Did you see McCartney when he was here?
Yes, I did. Yeah, he was. I saw him. I didn't get to meet him. It was one of those moments. There's only a few people that I'm in awe of. Obviously, I've become jaded over the years, but serving Carson here and seeing McCartney, I mean, those were a couple of moments that you go like, wow, okay, this is royalty in show business.
One time when I was doing the Tonight Show, Carson, I was looking at the guy warming him up, and Carson comes and stands by me, and he says, pretty uptight crowd, huh? And I go, yeah, like I'm going to talk comedy with Johnny Carson.
Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. It's funny when somebody sits down or stands next to you like that as a surprise, I'll bet.
Did you ever see the Ed McMahon bit I did?
No.
I used to have this bit about Ed McMahon, and I go, I met Ed McMahon, I did Star Search. You mind if I do a bit?
Go for it.
And I said, I don't know what to say to him. I go, 35 years in the business. What do I call you, Ed? Do I call you Mr. Ed, Mr. Eddie McMahon, Mr. E, Mr. You big, fat, lucky, talentless hump kissing Johnny's ass for the last 30 years, you Budweiser sucking, outpost slinging nothing. What do you do? I don't mean that in a bad way. Right? I did that. And then I auditioned for his daughter for Star Search. And she told me, she told me afterwards that she goes, my father's seen the bit and he loves it. Thank God, because he grabbed me right before I went on, and he pulled me towards him. I'm thinking, fucking Ed McMahon's going to sucker me for saying that thing about him. But he was cool.
Yeah, that's the story. I'm not sure if Ed McMahon hosted an evening at the Improv or it was Doc Severinsen, but
He was cool, huh?
yeah, one of those guys were hosting, and that's when Johnny Carson came in, I guess, to watch him. And I think I've told this story before, but who's up there trying to warm up the crowd? Bud Friedman.
Oh, yeah.
And
With his monocle?
Bud's giving it his best, and the audience is at the most trickling in laughter, nothing crazy. And after one attempted joke, Bud goes, well, just a little attempt at humor. And Johnny yells out, very little, which is another thing that I just remember about Carson. And of course, then he came out here and went down to his house with a couple of women that he met, and Bruce Smirnoff. Remember Bruce?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all
Is my bag in here? Oh, okay.
Another.
I don't need it. I just want to make sure. I'm sorry.
A memorable moment. Yeah, that's okay. You just stop and do whatever you want, Dom. It's your show.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no. Go. You just go. What are some of your highlights in your comedy or acting career? Either way, like you go like, wow, like you were talking about Johnny coming up to you when you were warming up the crowd. What stands out to you?
Well, definitely in New York with Robin Williams. Robin apparently had heard that I was pretty good at improv. Something happened that he asked me to do improvs with him. I go, yeah, great. And we start doing them with my friend Steve Schaefer. And Robin was talking all over us, and I got up stage and I said to him, listen, man, you're Robin Williams, you're Mork. Was it Mork?
Mork, yeah.
I go, I'm fucking nothing. If you're gonna shit on me and run all over the place, I can't. That's not improv. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Next night we did him. He was fucking perfect. He was so good. It was like
Mork from Ork.
And it branches off into another little story about David Bowie. I'm on stage and I did this bit about Bowie, right? And I don't know he's in the room. I get off stage. Me and Robin did improvs that night. He brought Bowie in, right? We go to and Bowie's there. I go, oh, he goes, Dom, this is David. I said, yeah, I know it. It's nice to meet you. And then I thought to myself, I just saw you last week in Philly in a gown. You were in an evening gown, and here we are talking, but it was pretty cool. I said to Bowie, I said, why don't you, when I did the attempt of a voice of yours, why don't you, there was a mic back there, because I saw it, I was going to do something, but I didn't want to interrupt your act. I go, interrupt my act? You're fucking David Bowie.
Yeah,
Fuck my act.
Yeah, it's funny. I somebody like Carson would have done it, but I guess his not being a comedian.
Well, these guys were thrilled to meet McCartney, and Adam. What's that, Adam?
Ray.
Yeah, Adam Ray. He told me he kind of like bumped him because he had just gotten off stage and he acted like he didn't. Oh, excuse me. So McCartney would compliment him, but he did. Bought him drinks and very cool.
Well, he was when McCartney was here. It was kind of interesting. Apparently, there were guys standing in the hallway. I think it was Judd Apatow, Joe Rogan, a couple of other guys, all of whom were going up in the show to try new material.
Oh.
Then they find out McCartney's in the audience, and they all go, God damn it, now I got to do my A stuff.
Yeah.
I
you
can't
don't
just
go down in front of him.
No, not in front of him. But he went into the restroom, and some other comics were standing outside. Nobody else went in. He came out, McCartney, and I think it was Avery Pearson, whatever his last name is, who was working here at the time, said to him, we didn't want to bother you, but can we, would you, while you were in the restroom, would you mind taking a picture? And he said, no, not at all. Let's go into the restroom and take a picture. They went inside into the restroom and they took a picture and Avery's got this. I know he released it all over the place with McCartney in the men's room. So
I used to open for Cher for years, right? And the guy who did the merchandising used to work for McCartney, and we were talking. We're like, oh, that's cool. You know McCartney, and I said, yeah, I'm a big Beatles fan, and he said, I said, how was he to work with? He goes, oh, Dom, he was a fucking gentleman. And I go, yeah. He goes, you know, he's very talented too. I didn't know he was. Yeah, he did it. He did all right.
Yeah, not
he had
bad.
his day.
Yeah, he's still got a few left. What other? You mentioned Woody Allen as one of your idols. Are there others too?
Well, I like the actors better than the stand-ups. Like in the producers, Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder.
Oh yes.
Remember the scene, the gay scene? How fucking funny that was.
Well, also,
what was his name? The guy who was in an evening gown. He didn't have his wig on, but he had.
Was it Milton Berle?
No, he was in the producers.
Oh, well, I was going to mention along those same lines. What's the name of the movie
Who's in it?
Everybody. Jonathan Winters. Mad World. Yes, to me, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Dick Shawn was hilarious.
Oh yeah, Dick Shawn had a scene in the. He was digging. Somebody was digging a grave or digging something up with Jonathan Winters, and
the one where he kicked the bucket.
Yeah. And it was just Winters going. Said something, and Dick Shawn's going like, don't call me, one of these "don't call me Shirley" lines.
Right.
And this is why I don't do stand up, because I can't remember jokes. But
that hurts.
I know, but that whole movie, along with the producers, they're
funny.
along the same lines. Just an aside.
Christopher Hewitt, is that his name? The guy who came out because they had. That Carmen Gia, remember Carmen?
Sure.
I'm Carmen Gia, Mr. DeVries' private secretary. Would you please remove your shoes? I don't know. Can you imagine Blazing Saddles get greenlit now?
None of those movies would make
sheriff's
it.
in there.
Yeah. No, there's too much political correctness these days. But, hopefully that'll go away, because you've got...
It has to roll back. You can't
it will, because you've got people out there like Chappelle who are just going like, later for that. Here's my act. You don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of feedback on his.
I know,
special.
But at the same time, my theory is with all that, or my thinking is with all that. If that offends you, don't watch it. It's really that simple.
It's as simple as that. I agree.
Yeah, it's you don't like a show, you turn the channel. You don't like a comedian's political rhetoric or whatever he spews out. Don't go to the show.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. It's as far as political correctness, it takes a lot away from comedians.
It really does. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I
remember they said Seinfeld stopped doing colleges like last year because of that. I stopped doing colleges like in the middle of the '80s because I went on to Columbia. I said something. They went, "Oh." I go, "Oh, what?" You're an Ivy League student. You can't take a little joke, And that was the last time I did anything.
I would bet a lot of comedians are probably going that route right now. I mean, I read about, I don't know Steve Harvey, but I read that he said he'll never do stand-up again because there's no way he could be politically correct out there, and didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It just takes a lot away from you guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, I go into a place, it's all these, I guess they were Indian or Pakistani women with the dot and the veils and stuff. And I said to the guy, the drummer, he booked me. And I go, are you sure you saw my act? I'm like, how did I get booked here? He goes, no. I said, you know what, I'll clean it up. I'll do like a TV set. He goes, no, do what you did. All right. So I get up there, I start, to pinche low, what I was doing before. And some guy stands up, why do you talk this way in front of my people? He's clutching his chest. I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I killed somebody.
Yeah.
I really killed him. I remember Kim, the blonde. She started the car. She said, start the car. She started this car. The guy, it was like a lateral in football. He hands me the $2,500 in cash. I jump into the car, and we took off. And then people were crying and shit, Horrible.
Do you have a favorite place that you worked, comedy-wise, in terms of like a theater or one of the clubs or, even the Comedy Magic or whatever? Is there one place that you kind of like feel more at home?
Well, yeah, my actual home, which is like Philly, Atlantic City, which is really cool. I was opening for Cher at the Sands, and not to be a name dropper, and
Absolutely
the
not.
guy who the guy who booked her saw that I had a following there, and I got to work. I got the headline in front of my family and friends. That was really a big deal. And, you know, Kilkenny, Ireland, is one of my favorite. It's very intimate, and everybody in town knows you, and it's a riot. I mean, I was there for this. This is the first year I missed. I was there more than any other American comedian by far, and they all knew you. I go into a candy store, and a guy goes, "John, I hid that USA Today for you, lad. I know you like that shit." Like bullshit.
That just so people know, Kilkenny's another comedy festival that you've done more, like you just
Katz
said.
laugh.
That you've done more than any other American
fastidious,
comedian.
Ed.
You are.
I'm
I mean,
festive.
everybody knows who you are. It's. I mean, it just goes without saying, so I won't say it. But
I think you kind of said it though.
did I?
Slightly.
I don't. You know, at my age, I don't remember what I said. The what are like what are your favorite acting roles? Do you have any like that you've done, like you've worked with somebody and you go like, wow?
Well, Boy Meets World, I had a part that was really, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was Bosco Cellini, and I was like this fake Italian guy. And I was, the kids, Topanga was this beautiful little
Yes.
girl, and the guys were, Savage was his name, not Ben
Why do
Savage.
I know these things? This is ridiculous.
Fred.
This is crazy.
These kids were great, you know, and I was like, they come in, I'm gonna do her hair, I did a bit, you know, like this kind of, and they go, come on, Bosco, we know you're from Brooklyn. I go, all right, what's up? You know, change like that, and that we got a lot of feedback. Of course, being on Seinfeld was fun, but I didn't have that fun a character. It was just a stupid prop act. Mm-hmm. What I loved on that show was, remember the episode where John what's Favreau?
John Favreau.
Well, he was Eric the Clown, and George couldn't understand why why they didn't book Bozo the Clown for the party instead of Eric, and John's going, listen, man, it's only a gig, you know, it's not my life, you know, and how could you not know Bozo? Oh, you know, funny.
And you're still touring, right? And you still go out on tours and stuff. And
I stopped working with Cher. The Cher gig was great because she never bothered me, never, you know, but what I said on stage, and never. It was so fucking easy. 25 minutes. People think that, like, you know, a big arena is hard. It's so easy because you wait for the laugh like a wave, and it's like it's double time. 15 minutes on stage there would be like, it's just, I can't explain like why that's easier than regular stand-up, you know.
how was it working with her? Is she?
She was great.
Yeah.
She was a little bit, and you can understand she was a star. She was 19. She was a little bit afraid of the public, and she wouldn't come out with us. I told her one night we were in Montreal. I says, "Why don't you come out?" She goes, "I don't want to be bothered." You know, I said, "Well, don't bring a cane and a top hat, and come out dressed normally. Maybe, you know." So we go to this Baskin Robbins in Montreal. As soon as we got in there, this old drunk goes, "Hey, aren't you old? What's your name?" And she goes, "Oh, who could ever forget what's her name?" That was the end of that. She went back to the
Back
truck.
to the hotel. The times that you have gone on the road, and I guess some of the tours become endless. You know, you're just there.
Yeah, but you choose your own unless you. I know what you mean. I mean, there's an element of loneliness, but I've been doing it so long. I have friends in, you know, Columbus, Ohio, or Kilkenny, or, you know, so.
Right. Well, so that just kind of answers the question, because I assume a lot of times it gets lonely, but as long as you've done it, and as often as you've done it, you, like you said, you've got friends everywhere. What do you have? Do you have a podcast?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Actually, I did one, and it was going well. And then Jamie, God rest his soul, even though he's still alive, he took the video out, and then we lost a lot of people, you know, because all those guys, you know, are you going to get Rogan to do this?
Yeah, I'm trying.
He'll do it.
Yeah. No, we just have a booking problem in terms of time, but
No, if
he
you
said he'll do it.
get some of those guys who draw, you know, obviously. That's what you want. Get a sponsor.
What was the show that you did up at the Laugh Factory? The judge, you were a judge?
Oh, yeah. We did it there, and we did it at the Laugh Factory, and it was called the Supreme Court of Comedy. And, I was a judge. It was just like Judge Judy, but hopefully funny. And these guys, they don't know anybody. Like, it was DirecTV, and they want to hire Mooney and Tom Arnold. And I brought Tosh and Russell Peters to them. They never heard of them. I said, well, you're going to fucking hear them. I'm telling you, these guys are really good. They're not just good, they're great. And then they finally brought them on there.
How long did that go? That went for a little while, didn't it?
3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
I've
because
been lucky with those little side series.
Well, that's good. Well, the one I remember most is the sports one, because I used to occasionally, in my surfing, pass that by while you were interviewing whoever you were interviewing. But there are times when, I mean, even you have got to go like, I wish I was home. It was like, I'm just tired.
You ever see my house?
No.
I can't wait to get the fuck out of here.
Okay, next one.
No, I never really, the loneliness on the road thing, I guess because I've been doing it so long. And I started in New York, and those gigs you drive home for those. So, like the Long Island and that kind of thing,
Well, I also want people to know that you've won several Cable Ace Awards over your career. You won one for, I guess, hosting and...
hosting, yeah, that was for a Showtime called Full Frontal Comedy. Mm-hmm. And we had great acts on there, Ray Romano, and a lot of people that nobody heard of at the time. And
right. But they know who they are now.
Yeah.
And you won another one for
my own stand-up special. And I'm in the bathroom with Gary Shandling, and I hear, Dom, you won. I go, oh, fuck. So I had the cameraman was a friend of mine. He gives me 5, and I run up on stage, and that was it. Thank you.
Well,
I'm sure. My big speech about thanking everybody.
I'm sure there's going to be more in your future. What do you have any projects coming up or coming out at this point?
I just want to become a better stand-up, honestly. Well, you're
gonna have to work hard at that because you're damn good. I have never ever heard anybody come out of that showroom after you've been on and not be happy. Oh, cool. God, I saw Dom Irrera, and even if they didn't know who you were, it was like that guy. He was the guy that did those impressions were great. That Italian guy, and I mean, you got your work cut out for you.
But you know what it is? It's fun not to want anything, because not that I did it all, kid, but I mean, I don't really. If somebody said, "Why don't you do a special?" I go, "I don't want to do a special." And I go, "Specials aren't special anymore because everybody does them now. What they do is they produce their own show, which is smart. One of the things I think Louis C.K. when he wasn't showing his dick to people, he kind of invented that whole thing of he produced the whole. That knocks a big part of show business out. But I was on Rogan. He goes, "You got to do a special. I saw your stuff. You got a lot of new stuff." I go, "I don't want to do it." He goes, "Well, you make some money." I go, "I don't need any money." And it's not like I'm that rich, but I just don't fucking need it.
Yeah, if that's you have a unique perspective in terms of how you look at that stuff.
I can't believe I'm still alive. Look at me.
Well,
my eyes are closing.
I don't believe you're still alive either. I'm not sure you are. Sidney.
Oh, could you see my thing? Oh, you were so funny the other night.
I know. You can't see.
I have Bell's
palsy.
Palsy. Was it palsy?
Palsy.
And Eddie wouldn't let it go. He goes, "So you can never get rid of that?" I go, "I don't know." And then you kept asking questions, just so I was starting to feel better. Can you get that permanently?
I was concerned. I was like, I wanted to know, Dom, are you going to be okay? Is this something that, And honestly, had you not mentioned it, I wouldn't have noticed it. And I forget who we were talking to. Who else?
Kevin Nealon.
Kevin, same thing. Had you not said something to him...
Well, you're paranoid when it's you.
I know, of course you are. But it's not something that you see right away.
I got one joke, though, because you get paralyzed on just one side of your face, I think most of the time. So I said to the audience, I said, for those of you who want to see me smile, go to the right of the stage. If you want like a chagrin look, go to the left.
So now you use that as part of your act. I love that.
Yeah.
So there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will go away, because it will at some point.
Why didn't you act like this the other night?
This is what I said the other night. I was going like, Dom, you don't have this permanently, right? It kind of goes away. Well, it does go away from what I hear, and all. But when did you, since you brought it up, how long have you had this?
How what?
How long have you had this?
About 3 weeks.
Okay. And
Going on my first trimester. It's, if it's you that's happening to, it's not.
I know. Believe me, I know. It's easy for me to sit here and maybe make fun, but I know for the person that's going through anything, it's just. But you have no choice but to laugh, because there's no other way to deal with it. What are you going to do? Sit home and mope?
This is a good way to end an interview.
Yeah.
We're all going to die anyway.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I want to thank you very much, Dom.
Eddie, it's pleasure.
Been great.
Anything for you, brother.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. Guys, subscribe, please, and watch every Tuesday, or listen for every Tuesday's release. Eddie's Bar at the Improv.